Welcome to Short Movie Channel. Today's movie begins with Lauren, a district attorney who comes from a wealthy and well-known family. Despite being surrounded by corruption in the upper class, Lauren remains committed to her principles, fights against corruption, and stands firmly against it. We learn that William, Lauren's brother, is running for office. Because of this, Lauren attends a press conference for his campaign to show her support. While the press is speaking with Lauren, we see her father, Archer, looking exhausted and in pain. He appears to be running through the forest as if he's fleeing from something unknown. Eventually, he reaches his car, but unfortunately, as he tries to save himself and head to the hospital, he gets into a terrible accident, crashing his car into a tree. Tragically, he dies. News of Archer's death quickly reaches the media. Reporters inform Lauren and ask if her father suffered from any chronic illness. However, Lauren is completely shocked by the unexpected news she just heard from the press. The report turns out to be true, and a funeral is held for Archer, attended by the entire family. Lauren is visibly devastated by her father's death. William tries to comfort her, telling her that their father was always proud of her. Lauren insists that she was never her father's favorite, that William always was, but she also says it never really bothered her. Soon after, it's time to read Archer's will. His close friend and the family lawyer, Harold, is the one handling it. As per Archer's wishes, a portion of his wealth is donated to charity. He also transfers ownership of his companies to his wife, and leaves William $20 million. However, Lauren only receives $1 million. Surprisingly, she doesn't seem upset, as if she had expected this from her father. Later, Harold pulls Lauren aside and privately tells her that her father left her an envelope separate from the will, with instructions that she must receive it alone. Lauren takes the envelope and finds a flash drive inside, along with a key. She immediately plugs in the flash drive to see what's on it. A video of her father appears. He tells her that by the time she watches this, he will already be dead. He explains that if she is seeing this message, it means he wasn't able to handle the situation before his death. Archer reveals that he had been hiding a huge secret, and he is entrusting her with it because she is the only person he truly trusts. He assures her that she will know the right thing to do. He then tells her that the secret is buried near their family home and apologizes for putting such a heavy burden on her. The video ends there. Shocked, Lauren steps outside and wanders around the house, thinking about her father's words. She stops at a particular spot in the forest, recalling a childhood memory. She remembers playing in that exact area as a little girl, but her father suddenly pulled her away and yelled at her more than ever before, forbidding her from going near that place again. Realizing this could be the location of the hidden secret, she starts searching the area and eventually finds a metal hatch. She tries unlocking it with the key from the flash drive, and it works. She opens the underground bunker and cautiously steps inside. Inside, she finds a locked room. When she finally opens it, she is utterly shocked. Sitting in the room is an old man, tied to a chair, unconscious. Terrified, Lauren hesitantly approaches him to check if he is alive. The moment she confirms he is breathing, she panics and runs back to the house in complete fear. She is so shaken that she considers calling the police, but at the last second, she changes her mind. She doesn't want to risk ruining her brother's political campaign. However, she also refuses to return home to her husband and daughter, deciding instead to stay at the family estate until she figures things out. Later, Lauren locks herself in her father's office, replaying everything she just saw. She doesn't understand why her father left this responsibility to her instead of William, especially since he had always trusted William more. At that moment, memories of her conflicts with her father come rushing back. Most of their arguments were about corrupt politicians and criminals, whom she actively fought against. Her father also opposed her marriage to Scott, but she went ahead and married him anyway without his approval. Snapping out of her thoughts, Lauren finally makes a decision: she will uncover and handle the secret her father left behind, no matter the cost. And that's why, the next day, she takes the gun and goes back to the hideout again. This time, she finds the old man sleeping on his bed. She quietly approaches him and takes his fingerprints to investigate him. But suddenly, the old man wakes up and sees her. Laurent quickly turns her face away and rushes out of the room. She returns again, this time wearing a mask so he won't recognize her. However, as soon as he sees her, he mocks her. When she asks for his name, he refuses to answer. Instead, he starts saying her name and revealing a lot of information about her, from her childhood all the way up to her marriage. He makes it clear that he already knows who she is. That's why he tells her to take off the mask if she wants him to talk. Laurent removes the mask and asks him who he is and what he's doing there. That's when the old man asks her about her father. He tells her that her father is definitely dead by now and that he left her in charge of his responsibilities. He takes advantage of Laurent's ignorance and her desperation to learn the truth from him. Then, he tells her that he won't say a word unless she buys him a grilled steak and a bottle of liquor aged 30 years, the same amount of time he's been locked up in this place. He also insists that he wants chocolate. He warns her that if she doesn't bring everything he asks for, he won't tell her anything. Since Laurent has no other choice, she gives in and does what he says. She buys everything he requested and returns to him. That's when the old man shares the first piece of information. He introduces himself as Morgan. He starts eating with great enjoyment, as he hasn't had food like this in decades. The moment he sees the chocolate, tears well up in his eyes. He tells her that her father used to buy it for him only once a year, on his birthday. Then, Morgan begins to tell Laurent his story. He says that, in his younger days, he and Archer were very close friends. What bonded them was their love for gambling, adventure, and the wild parties they used to attend together. One night, after a party, they were heading home together, both of them completely drunk. That's when they got into an accident and ran someone over with their car, killing him instantly. At that moment, Morgan was terrified, but Archer quickly decided to take control of the situation. He told Morgan that since there was no body, there would be no crime. He then forced Morgan to help him move the body into the car. They drove into the woods, where Archer buried the body. But it didn't stop there. He also beat Morgan until he passed out. Then, he dragged him to this very place and locked him up. Archer had planned to kill him because he was afraid that Morgan would expose the truth, ruining his entire life. However, at the last moment, Archer changed his mind and decided to let him live, but only if he remained imprisoned. And so, Morgan stayed locked up for 30 years, just so Archer could keep his secrets safe. Laurent listens to his story in shock, unable to believe a single word. But Morgan insists that he's telling the truth. He offers to prove it by telling her something about her father that no one else knows. That's when he drops the second bombshell. He tells her that Archer was secretly married to an old friend of theirs from their youth named Sophia. Not only that, but he also gives her Sophia's address and reveals that Archer used to visit her every Tuesday. He's certain that Archer left a portion of his fortune for Sophia, separate from his official will. Laurent storms out, furious and refusing to believe him. But when she goes to the address he gave her, she's shocked to find that there really is a woman named Sophia living there. Immediately, she asks to meet her. When she asks Sophia if she was married to her father, Sophia admits it. But that's not all. Laurent is stunned to learn that she has a half-brother from Sophia. This revelation shakes her to the core. She warns Sophia not to claim any connection to their family. But Sophia reassures her that she has no intention of ruining their lives. She explains that she has been living separately and peacefully because of Archer. Even her son has no idea that he has other siblings. Laurent leaves, overwhelmed by the flood of shocking revelations. She goes straight to Harold and confronts him angrily, convinced that he must have known about Sophia. Harold admits that it was her father's secret and that he could never reveal it because he was both his lawyer and closest friend. He assures her that there's nothing to worry about when it comes to Sophia and urges her to stop thinking about her father's issues, as he was able to handle them himself. But Laurent isn't satisfied. She asks Harold if he's ever heard of a man named Morgan, one of her father's old friends. Harold tells her that he has never heard that name before. Even when she asks her mother, she gets the same answer. So, Laurent goes back to Morgan and tells him she still doesn't believe him. She demands stronger proof. That's when Morgan tells her that there's no better proof than the body her father buried. He tells her that he's willing to go with her and show her exactly where it is. At that moment, Lauren hesitates. She still doesn't fully trust him. But Morgan promises not to run away and even offers to let her tie him up if it makes her feel safer. And indeed, she believes his words and cuffs his hand. Then, she uses the gun to threaten him and leaves the hideout. As soon as Morgan steps out, he stands in the forest and starts crying, because, for the first time in 30 years, he sees the sky and breathes fresh air. After that, he rides with Lauren in her car and directs her to the exact location of the body. Lauren stops at the place he mentioned and starts digging. That's when she discovers a human skeleton and realizes that Morgan was telling the truth. This shakes her to the core, and she refuses to accept the reality staring her in the face. She then covers the hole back up and returns with Morgan to the hideout. He tells her that now, she must have realized he was being honest, and, for that reason, she should let him go. But Lauren is afraid that he will expose her family's secret. No matter how much Morgan swears that he won't say a word about what he knows, and that all he wants is to live the rest of his stolen life in peace, she doesn't believe him or trust him. So, she forces him to put the chain around his neck again, then walks away, unable to help him. Lauren spends the whole time thinking about what's happening to her, and how she should handle the situation. Eventually, she breaks down and smashes things in her father's office out of frustration. The next day, she visits her brother, William, and tells him she needs his advice on a case she's working on. She asks him what he would do if he discovered that their family was hiding a terrible secret that, if exposed, would destroy them, and that the only person who knew the truth had been locked away because of it. William tells her that the first thing he would do is protect the family's best interests, even if that meant killing the witness. Lauren immediately realizes that even her brother would act just like their father. But she is different, she thinks differently. She can't stand injustice and corruption, so she decides to set Morgan free. That same day, she goes to him with a bag of clothes and tells him to get ready as soon as possible because he's leaving. The moment Morgan hears this, he feels overwhelming joy and thanks her from the bottom of his heart. After that, Lauren visits Harold and asks him to create a fake identity for a 60-year-old man. She also tells him to open a bank account under that name and deposit her inheritance from her father, $1 million, into it. But that's not all. She also asks him to arrange a private jet so Morgan can escape to a remote island. Harold is confused and doesn't understand what's going on, but Lauren refuses to give him any details. A few days later, Lauren returns to Morgan and finds him fully prepared, waiting for her to take him out. Before leaving, she asks him one last time about her father, how he saw her, and what he used to say about her. Morgan tells her that, at first, her father always complained about her, thinking she was reckless and unlike William, who followed orders. But over time, he started admiring her ideas and was even proud of her, despite their differences. Lauren is deeply moved by Morgan's words. Then, she tells him it's time to leave but warns him one final time. If he ever thinks about revealing the secret he knows or destroying her family, she will ruin what's left of his life and make his existence a living hell. Morgan agrees to her terms, assuring her that once he walks out of there, he will run and never look back. Then, they leave the hideout together, and he is overwhelmed with happiness, finally free from his prison and about to start a new life. Lauren takes him to the private airport, where Harold is waiting with his new identity documents and the private jet. She hands Morgan everything he needs for his new life, and even allows Harold to travel with him to help him adjust. Afterward, Lauren returns to the hideout to clean it up and remove all traces that someone had lived there. While she's doing that, she receives a call from her colleague, whom she had tasked with looking into Morgan's fingerprints. He tells her that he has sent her a full file on the man, directly to the family's home. Lauren immediately runs to stop her mother from receiving the envelope, but unfortunately, she arrives too late. By the time she gets there, her mother has already opened it. The moment she sees the picture of the man, she asks Lauren how she knows him. Lauren tells her the truth, that his name is Morgan, and she explains what her father did to him. But Lauren is shocked when her mother tells her that his name isn't Morgan, it's Carson. And not only that, but she also warns Lauren that he is pure evil and extremely dangerous. The moment Lauren hears those words, she panics and tries calling Harold, but he doesn't answer. So, she rushes to her car and drives straight to the airport. When she gets there, she is horrified to find Harold lying on the ground, murdered. At that moment, she realizes her mother was right. She immediately calls her mother and tells her to leave the house, but her mother doesn't answer. So, Lauren runs back home as fast as she can. When she gets there, she's shocked to find her mother missing. At the same time, she notices that the hidden door is open. She rushes inside and finds her mother unconscious, but she's not alone. This time, Carson is there too. Carson cuts the power and uses Lauren's fear to his advantage, quickly overpowering her. He ties her up with the same metal chains he was once bound with and tells her that she is finally in his place. This is the revenge he's been waiting for. He confesses that he had been lying to her all along, manipulating her kindness and her passion for justice. But now, it's time for the truth. Carson reveals that he was once obsessed with her mother. One night he met up with her and Archer at a party. Seizing the opportunity, he drugged her drink. But before he could do anything, she managed to tell Archer everything. Furious, Archer immediately attacked Carson in the middle of the party. He then dragged Carson to his car, intending to take him to the police. However, on the way, Carson distracted Archer, causing him to hit a man on the road. Seeing Archer panicked, Carson took advantage of the situation. He got out of the car and killed the injured man, forcing Archer to bury the body to protect himself. But then something happened that Carson never expected. Archer turned on him. He knocked him out and locked him in the hidden room, torturing him for all the evil he had done to people. Carson confesses that he was the one who ultimately killed Archer. One day, Archer had brought poison to finish him off, but Carson managed to steal it and inject it into Archer instead, killing him. At this point, Lauren is furious. She screams in anger, trying to break free and fight back. But when she realizes the chains are too strong, she changes tactics. She tries to reason with Carson, telling him they can settle this legally. She suggests that he report Archer's actions to the police. But Carson refuses. He tells her he will take revenge his way. His plan is to lock both Lauren and her mother in the hidden room forever. And that's not all. He reveals that he will also kill William and make sure that Lauren's husband and daughter believe she abandoned them. That way, he will destroy the entire family and get his ultimate revenge. At that moment, Lauren lunges at him and manages to scratch his face. But Carson still overpowers her, knocking her down. He calls her foolish for not realizing the truth earlier. And then he drops the biggest bombshell: he is her real father. Everything suddenly makes sense to Lauren. This is why Archer left the secret for her to discover alone. At that moment, her mother regains consciousness. She grabs a weapon and shoots Carson, killing him. She then rushes to Lauren, telling her that the nightmare is finally over. She assures Lauren that she is part of the family, and should forget everything Carson said. Lauren decides to do exactly that. She gets up and sets fire to the entire hidden room. She and her mother leave the place as it burns, watching as the flames consume Carson's body. As the fire rages, it takes all their troubles with it. And that's how today's movie ends. I hope you all enjoyed it. Don't forget to support us by liking and subscribing.